Everybody, welcome to another edition of our Shiur. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to thank again Meir Gabay and Jonah Hari for arranging this Shiur. I'd like to dedicate tonight's Shiur Lilui Nishmat Rivka Batshena. Baruch Hashem Tenechenu Began Eden, Amen. Also like to wish Refuah Shlema, Avdil Chaim Tovim, and Refuah Shlema for Gabriel Anon Bat Leah Malka, Elisheva Bat Sheva Bat Rivka, and Claudine Bat Chanur Chama for Mamam Tikva Ojni Bat Rosette. Kelna Rafan Aleim, Refuat Nefesh, Refuat Aguf, Refuat Krova Lavo. And also I'd like for Lilui Nishmat Rabbi Moshe Chai Ben Aziza Mizrahi, who was the Rav of Bat Yam, who just passed away this week. So I'd like to dedicate this shiur Lilui Nishmato. V'tiyeh Nishmato Tzura B'tzora Chaim. Okay, tonight's shiur, Kedoshim to you. What does it mean, Kedoshim to you? Be holy. So how can a person be holy? What does it mean to be holy? How do you do that? It doesn't say the rabbis should be holy. Torah says, Kedoshim to you. Let's see, the pasuk says in the beginning of Parashat Kedoshim, ויאמר השם אל משה לאמור דבר אל כל עדת בני ישראל. Which means all of Am Yisrael have this commandment to be holy. ואמרת להם קדושים תהיו, כי קדוש אני השם אלוקיכם. So, any suggestions?
Wow, that's
just simple suggestions. What does the Torah expect from us to be?
So Kedoshim at the simple level, it's nivdalim.
Yes, very good, excellent. So what does it mean nivdalim?
It
nivdalim
means that you separated or not separated, but how would I put it in English?
Separated is a good word. No?
Separated and nifrad, זה לא נבדל. It's not the same thing.
נכון. פרוש.
So nivdalim, it means that we move aside, or we step aside, or we keep ourselves from certain things.
Very good. Okay, excellent. That is the accurate description of Kedoshim. And in fact, Rashi says that. Rashi says, Kedoshim to you avu prushim. Prushim from what? Prushim min ha'arayot. Or min ha'avera. Says Rashi, כל מקום שאתה מוצא גדר ערווה, אתה מוצא קדושה. Somebody who prevents himself from immorality specifically, that is kedusha. And that's why you see kedushat habrit, kedushat ha'inayim, kedushat hamor. All of these things come from the kedusha, and this is expected from every Jew from the age of 13 years old, wherever country it is. It's not just for the rabbis; it's for everybody. Kedoshim to you. And here's something fascinating, because you think, what does it mean to be holy? So you think maybe holy, you have to go pray all day, study Torah all day, which is definitely very good. But to be kadosh, it's the power of restraint and holding back, and that brings a person to kedusha just by not doing anything. And I'd just like to start off with this following two stories. One of them is from Rabbi Israel Tauber. I heard this from him. And this is a famous concept. We see this also by a few people, but we saw by Sarah Imenu. We said the other parasha. Just for a person holding back from doing an avera, that can the power that he holds himself back, that brings him up to kedusha. So I give an example. He told me he said this story. He was once in a hotel, and he's traveling along, and he always takes his Gemara with him to do his daf yomi. And he says, one time I was very tired. I was a long journey. I was exhausted, and I didn't have koch to do the daf yomi. And I came to a hotel, and there's a hotel room, and I was on my own. And there's a big TV screen, and I had the bed. And I said, I took the remote, shalat for the television. I said, I didn't have power to study Gemara, but to switch on the TV, I'm not going to do. This is for you. I took the remote and I put it down. I said, that is what I'm going to do for today. And it's just a simple story. There's nothing amazing about it, but just the fact that you see, no one was watching. He didn't do that just so he could tell the story about himself. That's not all the purpose of it. But you see, genuinely, The person who does something privately, just for Kadosh Baruch Hu, that's a level of Kedusha. Let me just make a baracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'dvaro. And I would like to say maybe this following story about struggling with a nisayon, with a test. We all have tests. That's what we stand. And having a test is what makes us grow. And when we have a test and now we have a more difficult test, that makes us grow even more. So then following the story, and maybe I've said this before, but I love this story. I'm going to say it's a lot to learn from it. A religious family living in Bnei Brak. One of their children, he went off the derech. He stopped becoming religious. He went away from home and stopped keeping Shabbat, stopped keeping everything, and he went outside of Israel, and he went a Goya, and he wanted to get married. He had already lost connection with all his family, didn't really speak to his parents, and then he was going to go ahead with it. And one of his friends said to him, listen, you've already reached, this is like already a new level, right? You're not keeping Shabbat, you're not eating kasher, but now marrying out of the religion, this is a big step. Maybe before you do such a thing, maybe you want to go speak with your family, be with them, maybe invite them to the wedding. But he said, no, I'm not going to bother being with, my parents don't care, they don't speak to him anymore. But he said, listen, why not try it? He managed to convince him to speak to his father. He said, this is already going a step far. He called up his mom. She hadn't spoken to him for a long time. And he said, listen, maybe you come for a Shabbat. Come for one last Shabbat. Be with us. And he came there. He said, listen, I'm going ahead with this wedding. Don't even try and speak to me about it. I want this girl. This is for me. And so there's nothing really speaking. Nothing to speak to him about. And so that Shabbat he was there with the family, and he was on his own. He came for the meal, and then he ate at the table, and then after the meal he just got up and went, and he played on his phone. He went into his room. He didn't really stay with the family. He didn't stay for Birkat Hamazon, didn't stay for the Divrei Torah. He was very detached from the family, even though he was there for Shabbat. And obviously his parents were very sad and very upset with it. And what can they do? Even they tried to speak to him, and he wasn't even listening to anything. He wasn't willing to speak to anybody. And the whole Shabbat was like that. He was outside on the balcony, Merpeset, smoking a cigarette on his phone, Chilul Shabbat. And then on Sudah Shlishit, his father said to him, listen, I have something. We're going to go to a shiur. Maybe you want to come and join us for the shiur. It's a shiur by Rabbi Aaron Leib Steinman, Zichrono Livracha. And he said, if it's Rav Steinman, I want to come. Okay, you want to come? B'chavod. So he joined him for the shiur. And after the shiur, we said, maybe you want to, just speak to, say Shabbat Shalom to Rabbi Aaron Leib, Rav Steinman. He said, yes, of course. And he came in, and they told, listen, Rav Steinman, this boy is going to marry out. He's going to marry a Goya. He's already gone off. This is his last Shabbat. And maybe you want to say something to him. They just fill him in a little bit. So he called him up. He said to him, Shabbat Shalom. Nice to see you. Thank you, Rabbi. He told him, can I ask you a question? I heard that, you stopped being religious. So he said, can I ask you, how long was it, the period of time that you weren't religious for? So he said that it's coming about 2 years now. A year and a half, 2 years. He said, okay. So can I just ask you one question, please? In those 2 years period that you weren't being religious, did you have any moments of rehoret teshuvah? Did you have any thoughts of regret, any thoughts of teshuvah? Do you ever think, maybe I want to come back home, maybe I'm doing the right things, maybe, your conscience playing on you, you feel guilty. He said, yeah, it happened to me a few times. He said, can you try and make a calculation? How of out of all the moments that you thought about it, your Ored Teshuvah, he called it. If you add them all together, how long do you think it would be? He said, maybe 10 minutes, here and there, I think about it, maybe. And then Rosh Hashanah looked him in the eyes, and very honestly said, wow, ani mekaneh becha, which in English means, I'm jealous of you. That means if you had such a pull for your Yetzer Hara, and you've gone away, now you're marrying Ruya, and you're telling me that for 10 minutes, you actually thought of doing Teshuvah, and you felt guilty in that. He said, that's something I'm jealous of. Because the power of the Jew, of this neshama inside him, you feel that you want to do the right thing. Rambam says every Jew deep inside him, he wants to do Ratzon Hashem. And he said, with all your nisayon, with all your ta'ava, and you managed to have that feeling for 10 minutes, something I'm jealous of. And that was it. That's what he said to him. He said to him, Shabbat Shalom, and he sent him home. And the boy, he was so shaken up by what Rosh Steinman said. He said that Motzei Shabbat called off the wedding. He called up the girl. He said, listen, I'm sorry. I can't do this. I'm Jewish. And he broke it off, and slowly coming back to the Torah, coming back to the way of the Judaism. And the true way. And what made him turn around? Rav Steinman, just those words, I'm jealous of you. Now, I just have to say the Agdama to that story. Why would he want to go to the Shiur Torah if he's not interested the whole Shabbat? In a Kiddush, in the Brachot, in anything. He didn't go to the synagogue one time the whole Shabbat with his parents. He said, Rosh Steinman is something special. He said, when I was a child, maybe I was 8 or 9 years old, he said they took all the children, to go visit the great Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Steinman. And we stood there one by one, and he asked each one of us a question on the topic that we're learning in school. And he said he asked me a question, and I said I don't know. So he asked me another question, a bit easier. I said I don't know. And then he asked me a third time, a easy question. And I said I don't know. And then he moved on and he asked the other children. He said at the end, we all walked past him and he gave each one of us a sweet. He said, well done, you learned good. Well done for your studies, for your Mishnah, what you learned. He said, when he came to me, he gave me 3 sweets. He said, in Judaism, we don't judge by your success. We judge by how much you try. And the respect that he gave me, that is what made me want to come back. And when he came back, the respect he gave him again, and he said, this is how we judge. That you had these thoughts of Teshuvah for 10 minutes. Okay, all you've done terrible things, but that doesn't add up to what you actually want to do. And that is the conquering, that is Kedoshim to you. This is what we learn from this week's parasha. I want to share with you our Chaim HaKadosh. Our Chaim HaKadosh was very famous, especially in the world of the Admorim HaChasidim. You see every Hasidish dish, when they have all the Hasidim, so they say all the Torot from the Hasidish rabbis, they always say Or Chaim HaKadosh. They call him Or Chaim HaKadosh. That's the Hasidish way of Or Chaim HaKadosh. But it's the law of Torah Remez. Torah Remez, we know the Torah has got Pshat, Remez, Drush, and Sod. So the Or Chaim HaKadosh is mixed in with Pshat, also Remez. So I want to share with you this beautiful idea that I saw in Or Chaim HaKadosh. Pasuk says, Ish, after it says Kedoshim to you, says the Torah, Ish imo v'aviv tirau. That means we have a mitzvah of kibud avaim. And then we say
it's not kibud. It's different.
What's the difference? Can you tell me what's the difference?
Of course.
Go on.
Of course. So it's a different commandment and it's a different order.
Okay, that's a good observation, yeah.
Because you respect, by definition, you respect your mother more than your father, but you're afraid more than your father than your mother. So the Torah is actually putting things straight on both sides.
Very good. Rashi says, what does it mean, Yira? Tirao, you should fear. What do you mean you fear? You're scared of your father? You're scared of your mother?
In a respectful way.
So you can argue
What
that
do you mean? What do you mean?
Moroccan kids can be afraid of their father sometime, right?
Yeah, but that's not what the Torah means. The Torah means don't be afraid because maybe he's going to slap you. That's not what it means. What does the Torah mean? So Rashi says, Rashi brings down the Gemara. The Gemara asks the question, what does it mean, Tira? No. Yeah. Don't sit in his seat. Don't speak when he is speaking. Don't contradict his words. That is fear. You give him to food, give him to drink, give him clothes, bring him, come in. That's kavod. So when the Torah says, it says first fear your mother, because normally you fear more your father. Don't want to speak against your father or sit in his place. Imam is more friendly, more, you feel more comfortable. But no, you have to fear your mom just like you fear your father as well. So the Orach Chaim asked an interesting question. Kedoshim, you see the whole parasha talks about the arayot, the different prohibitions, the isurim of immorality. What's not allowed to go with Eshet Ish and also with different relationships which is forbidden. So the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, he says, what is the smichut mitzvah zu mitzvat Kedoshim? When we talk about the mitzvah of being holy, Kedoshim, and we're talking about all the isurim of arayot, and then we say stick in the middle of the mitzvah of fearing your father and mother. So the question of the Orach Chaim HaKadosh is, what's the connection between fearing your mother and father and the mitzvah of being Kedoshim and restraint against arayot, against immorality? Do you have any suggestions?
It's that in both cases, the Hashem is between the husband and the wife. So
very nice. איש ואישה שזכו שכינה שרויה ביניהם. Okay. And
so
what's
which is the same thing. You need to respect it. That arayot, that's a holy concept. So
again, we say איש אמו ואביו, אני השם אלוקיכם. And what do you say with immorality? With the forbidden relationships?
That instead of acknowledging the holiness of it, you let the nefesh habehemit rule it.
Okay, very nice. Very nice, Adi Gilad. I'm going to share with you the idea of the Orach Chaim HaKadosh. He says there's a remez over here. A remez for Geder Arayot. He says there's somebody who goes into his Ta'avot. I saw it written down in a book about Aristotle. Aristo was one of the wisest men who lived in the world. He was the teacher of Alexander Magdon. Alexander the Great, and he taught him his wisdom, and a lot of things that he succeeded was thanks to the good advice of Aristotle. And he said that he was caught, Aristotle, with Eshet Ish, one of the wives of his Talmid of Alexander, and Alexander caught him, he wanted to kill him. And he just had respect for him because he was his teacher. And I saw on the Mefarshim say about that however wise he was, they laughed at him. He said, you're such a great man. Expect a bit more of you. But I said, somebody who doesn't have the Torah, then all his sechel is limited. Is limited in his mind. Is limited in his capabilities to hold himself back. Kodoshim to you can only be given to Am Yisrael. How can you hold back from that drive? Only through the Torah that Hashem gives you the power to restrain it. It's but somebody does not withhold that, and he fulfills into a ta'avot and goes into illicit relationship immorally. Says Orach Chaim Kadosh, Yivazeh kvod aviv. What does that mean? You disgrace your father. Mi she'im gila arayot batel mitzvat moreh av shegaram lehem zilzul she'omar arur zu she'yalad. He said they curse who give birth to this person. He says a disgrace for the parents. That's one thing he says.
It connects nicely to Yosef that saw the image of his father, and that's why he kept the Yesod.
Excellent. So that's what I wanted to say. Very good, Gilad. This is the very Orach Chaim HaKadosh. So in this week's parasha, he says that. Listen to this, Gilad. Shamati mishem anshe emet. Says Or HaChaim. I heard from people of truth. Ki diyukan ha'av tagbir koach ha'kedusha beben. The image of the father, tagbir, how do you say that? Increases the ability or the strength to withstand the power of Kedusha and stops him from his ta'avot and his yetzer hara. And this is how we see the mitzvah of arayot is next to imo va'aviv tira'u, which means somebody sees the image of his father. Just imagine that gives a power for his Kedusha. So when the Torah talks about us, listen, fear your father and mother, because if you fear your father and you have respect for your father, then that gives you abilities to withstand your yetzer hara. Someone who feels the yetzer hara very strong, just imagine that. Okay, just imagine the image in the eyes. And they'll calm down his yetzer hara, be able to withstand that. So that's just fascinating. I wanted to share that. And it says, "Vatem Kedoshim tiyu ish ve'imar aviv ve'imar tira'u bet mitvotai." One second, let me get this right. Ish imo v'aviv tira'u ve'et shabtotai tishmaru. Pasuk says, "Fear your father and mother and keep my Shabbatot." Now, what's Shabbatot got to do with it? We explained fear your father and mother. That's got to do with arayot, because that gives you the power to restrain. But why does the mitzvah of Shabbat? What's that got to do with anything? So here was where the Torah Taremes comes along, and he quotes a Zohar HaKadosh. He said there are 7 tzaddikim of the Sheven Ushpizim. 7. Okay, how many days in the week are there? 7. 7. The day of Shabbat is Keneged Yosef HaTzadik. That's what he says over here. Because Shabbat is Keneged Yosef.
But
he said Yosef, one second. Yosef is Keneged Soda Shalom. And that's why we say Shabbat Shalom. And we say in a tefillah, Pores Sukkot Shalom. And we said Yosef HaTzadik, he's got that. What was special about Yosef HaTzadik? That he had the power to withstand the Nisayom, the test of Eshet Potifar. And he said Shabbatot is 2 things. Shabbatot on a literal level, plain level, it just means all the Shabbatot, because there's many Shabbatot. Every week there's the Shabbat. But says Or HaChaim HaKadosh, according to the Zohar, there's 2 different types of Shabbat. There's Shabbat in time, that's the 7th day of the week. Also, there's the holiness of the person, which is the Kedusha of the Brit. Because we say Brit is Ot, and Shabbat Oti, Beni Uvanechem. And Shabbat is also called, the Ot is the sign. Oti. So he said the two are both connected. And you see the remez is that somebody who strengthens his Shmirat Shabbat is also strengthens also his Shmirat Brit. Because also the Shabbat is a sign of Brit Kodesh. And both of these are great to do with Yosef HaTzadik, which also connected to Shabbat, which is connected Shalom. So the Torah, when it mentions these 2 mitzvot of honoring your father and Shabbat, both in the context of Kedoshim to you, it's giving us an ability how to withstand that yetzer hara. It says Or HaChaim HaKadosh, just think about your father and mother. The fear, not just the respect of the honoring your father, but the respect from your father, that gives you fear of heaven. That gives you with koach to withstand, and also the shmirat of Shabbat. Someone keeps the Shabbat, that strengthens his connection, the oath, the sign, the brit between him and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which also helps him to keep the Kedushat HaBrit. Okay, moving on in the parasha, we have a mitzvah, I think maybe I would say one of the most difficult mitzvot, most challenging, simple mitzvah, but maybe very challenging. And this is a mitzvah of lo tikom velo titor. What does it mean lo tikom velo titor? Means
not to revenge and not to hold grudge.
Okay, what's the difference between taking revenge and bearing a grudge?
Taking revenge is action. Bearing a grudge could just be silent.
Very good. And Rashi gives a definition of what, what's hard about not taking revenge. Why is that hard? Why do I say that's so difficult?
Because it's a natural reaction.
It's a natural reaction. Absolutely. What's more difficult? Not taking revenge or not bearing a grudge?
Not taking revenge.
Huh? What do you say? Do you agree with that, Gilad? Gilad's smiling there.
No, it's a grudge.
Now, what do you say?
The grudge is more difficult.
Why? Why do you think,
Because
Joe? You agree
because
with him?
revenge is something that you have external factors that can prevent you from not taking revenge, but the internal work is much
If you
harder.
really wanted to, Gilad, you would. If you really wanted
What would
to.
you say? You would. So let me just tell. I'm going to tell you the definition by Rashi. Rashi says the definition. Of bearing a grudge. 1 second, please. Can I just find it? Yeah. So Rashi says, not taking revenge means if somebody comes and asks you, can I borrow something from you? You ask him, can I borrow something from you? And he says no. The next day he says, okay, listen, can I borrow yours? Okay, listen, can I borrow your car? He says no. Next day he asks you, and you don't have a problem, lending your car, but you say, no, listen, you didn't lend me when I needed your help. I'm not going to lend you mine. That's taking revenge. Nothing bad. Just saying no. Okay, you're allowed to say no. You don't have to lend anyone your things. Okay, maybe I should say this before. If someone asks you to borrow something, can I borrow your laptop? Can I borrow your bike? You can say no. It's a mitzvah to help, a mitzvah to be chesed. But if you just don't like people using your personal things, okay, then you can say no. I don't want to lend you my jacket. I don't want to lend you my talit. I can, it's something personal. I don't want to lend it out. That's fine. But to say I would normally lend it out, but because you didn't lend me your talit, I'm not going to lend you now my siddur. That's taking revenge. That's not allowed. Because you would do it, but you're just taking revenge now. That's lotikom. Lotito, not bearing a grudge, is a step further. He's saying, yeah, I will lend you it to you because I'm not mean like you. You didn't give it to me yesterday, but I'm not like that. You can have mine. That is very difficult. That is something which needs maybe superhuman nature. How can you say somebody, yeah, I'm going to lend it to you even though you didn't help me? To not say that, to say, of course I will give you. Yeah, you're my friend. Not even to remember, not even to bear the grudge. That is something which is not. How can you do that?
What's the question?
Well, the question is, how can a person be expected to fulfill this mitzvah of not bearing a grudge? Okay. So let's say, Joe, can I ask you, I'm stuck with my phone. My phone's got no battery. Can I use your phone, Joe? And you say, no, not giving to you. Okay, I remember that. That's quite mean of you. I'm really stuck and I need the phone. Okay, and now a few weeks later, I bump into you again. And you say, oh, hi, can I use your phone? And I say to you, yeah, of course you can. Yeah, you can use my phone. No, not like you. You didn't let me use your phone, but I'm going to let you use my phone.
Or would you say that? Would you say that when lending me? I mean, if you weren't to say that.
You're not supposed to. You have to say it even.
Okay, one at a time. 3 questions which I didn't get. One at a time.
So,
Joe?
But
my question is, would you say that? Oh, you didn't lend it to me, but I'm going to lend it to you. Surely that
what
I'm
you
not going
said,
to be like you. I remember when I was stuck, you didn't help me out. Okay.
But what benefit you get from it anyway by saying it?
No, but do you have to say it? Or
What benefit you get by saying it?
What if you just have it in your heart without saying it?
Oh, what did you think? Okay, so very good.
Rabbi, but that's exactly the point of Ocheach Tochiach. So Ocheach
No, wait, that's
Tochiach-
not a time. No, it's not a time for Ocheach Tochiach. This is a time for being Osir, so the writer.
But what's the
No,
hachma to
okay.
say it actually? What you're going to be? So what? What do you
One
have to
second,
say?
Jacob, I can hear you, but I can't hear what you're saying.
Why do we have to? I mean, what benefit would I get from saying it?
Oh, what benefit?
Yes.
But Well, I'm gonna just say that I remember you weren't very nice to me. And I'm saying, listen, you weren't nice to me, but I'm gonna give it to you. So they can say, like, I'm not like you. I'll make you feel bad for not giving it to me last time. So now may I ask the question, if I don't actually say it, but I just
my 5-year-old, a 5-year-old will do that, I think. Not
No, even adults will do that. No. I can just
Okay.
say even on myself,
Okay.
you know, you have to hold myself back from it.
Okay.
Morris, what did you want to say?
I think that if you are feeling it, you are still bearing a grudge, even though you're not mentioning it.
Yeah,
If you
so
feel this way,
it's
you
already
are bearing a
it's
grudge.
already a different level. Okay, and just to not say it, that's already fulfilled the mitzvah of the Torah. To think it, that's already, you need to be advanced, tzaddik for that. That's not what the Torah demands from you, to not think it. The Torah demands you not to say it. How can you not think it? And this is what I'm going to share with you tonight.
So bearing a grudge is an action or lack of an action?
Yeah.
So somebody who hates someone in their heart for 20 years because they didn't lend them a hammer,
Yeah.
That's not bearing a grudge?
So it is bearing a grudge on one level, but I think on what the Torah here, what Rashi says, that you're saying a point here, so it could be on a different level. There would be a tikkun to do over here, but Rashi says you have to say that. Don't knock him. Oh, no, 1 second, let me just do. Oh, it's good you brought this up, man. So let me correct myself. I'm not like you. That's why he says. Then Rashi says, Zui netira. And Rashi explains, even though he doesn't actually take revenge, because he gives him, lets him borrow what he asked for, but he still bears a grudge in his heart. And the fact that he says, I'm not like you, that's just a revelation of what he feels. So, okay, so I stand corrected. Thank you, Mayor.
So
now it just makes the question even more demanding. Okay,
So
I remember I was stuck.
You
didn't help me out,
basically.
And I was supposed to not feel that. That's
no, but that's simple. It's
okay. So Gilad, share with us.
No, but it's simple. But look, if הכל בידי שמיים חוץ מיראת שמיים,
yes.
Look, it doesn't matter, right?
Excellent.
So it's just a pawn on the board, right?
So absolutely, 100% right. Gilad's answer is right. That is not only Gilad's answer. That is the only answer. It's a if, then it's a simple, and it's a very big if, and then it's very simple. If you believe a call from Mina Shamayim, then there's no room for bearing a grudge. The reason why he didn't give you his phone is not because he was having a bad day. He didn't want to lend it to me. I don't know what he was annoyed about. But there's nothing him involved. It's only from a Kodosh Baruch Hu. And that's why I need to forgive. When we forgive, we need to forget. That's why we say forgive and forget. Now it's for ourselves or for our own good and for our own benefit. The Torah commands us. But the command commands us and demands from us. We need to forgive and forget. And I want to show you this most beautiful story I had today.
Rabbi Netanel, I apologize for interrupting, but where do you draw the line between that and nochiach tochiach? When you're not personally involved?
Okay, so let's do one at a time. So Gilad asking a question. How do you start? Where do you draw the line between nochiach tochiach? Nochiach tochiach means...
I don't understand the question.
I'm going to explain the question, and then I'm going to explain the answer. Okay? Tell me if I'm right, Gilad, if this is your question. This is what I think you're asking. The Torah tells us that we must not bear a grudge and be forgiving for other people. On the other hand, the Torah commands us that we should correct somebody else. You know, you did something wrong, you should have lent it to me. It wasn't right what you did. So I need to tell you off. So if I'm not bearing a grudge and I forgive you...
Dafka, they go hand in hand.
Okay, do you want to... Yeah, so what do you mean they go hand in hand? Do you want to explain?
I mean, in order to do hocheach tocheach adamitecha, you have to not bear a grudge to do it properly. Otherwise, it's not hocheach tocheach. It's just you. It's something else.
Yeah, it's just you lashing back. You lashing back is you doing the avera of lotikom. Hocheach tocheach amitecha means your friend. It means he has to be your friend. You have to love him and forgive him and not take anything personally when you come to tell him off. So first, you've got to say, yeah, of course you can have it, and you're my friend, and I'll give it to you. And that's fine. And really love him. Once you love him, then for his own personal benefit, then you can tell him of what you think he's doing wrong. But it's not out of going back or bearing grudge or telling him off because what he did wrong to you. No, he did nothing wrong to you. He did absolutely nothing. You're actually his best friend, and you welcome him home and you sit with him. And I'll illustrate it with the next story. But is as your friend for his own benefit, for his own good. I want to show you the right way to do things. Nothing to personally with me. I forgive you and I love you and you with me. So this following story I heard tonight from the Elimelech Avram Biderman from Be'er Parasha, beautiful shura from Kol HaLashon. This is the following story of Bachur Hasidi. There was one Hasidic Rebbe about 35 years ago. He used to live in Yerushalayim and he used to do a big Adlakat Neot Chanukah. He used to do a public lighting of the Chanukah, and everyone used to come, and all the Hasidim, they used to sing songs, Divrei Torah. It was a big event. And he said, I want the Bachurim, the young boys, the yeshiva boys, they should be on the front row next to the Rebbe. There, the Hasidic Rebbe, the Admor, he's the king. It's a big privilege to stand on the front row next to him. Now you listen to this story. This is really unbelievable story. He said, every night I want a different row of boys. Not the same boys every night. Yeah, whoever's there the first night shouldn't be there the second night. Whoever's there the second night shouldn't be there the third night. So the first night, the boys loved it. What a privilege, so many Hasidim. We're on the front line. We get to be next to the Rebbe. We hear him making the bracha on Chanukah. We sing with him. We're getting all the pictures. Yeah, it's a fame. So they were loving it. Second night, they said, we're coming back. We're going back in the first row. Now, they're a bit cheeky and say chutzpah. And the Gabaim, how do you say Gabaim in English? Gabai is like the first man. How do you say?
No, so we know.
The wardens.
What did you say, Maurice?
The warden.
The warden. Okay, the warden is like the best man. He's a cross between like the carer and the bodyguard and the protector, and he's everything, the Gabai. So he told, listen, all you boys, you were here yesterday, move. And they said, why? You were also here yesterday. We're staying. Okay, you're going, right? We went to call the big Gabai. First there. And just before the Rebbe came, 1 minute before he's coming up onto the stage, he comes up and he said, all you boys, everybody move. So all the boys, they ran off, apart from one boy who had extra chutzpah. I don't know if he was right or wrong, but he had extra chutzpah, he didn't say. He stayed. And he said, listen, boy, you had your turn yesterday, move. And then he opened his mouth with chutzpah. He said, you were also here yesterday. He said, I'll move when you move. You're staying, I'm also staying. And he saw that the Rebbe is coming and he doesn't want it to be there. He gave him 2 slaps and sent him off. Now he gave 2 slaps in front of hundreds of people in Yerushalayim on stage. Everyone saw him. He was on the big screen. And a slap is something which is it's mevazeh. It's degrading. It's embarrassing. He turned red and he went off. And then they had the ceremony, everything. And this was Chanukah. And the Gabai, he felt bad. He said, listen, it's my job, but I didn't have to do that. I went too far. So he sent some message to the boy. He said, listen, the Gabai wants to ask for forgiveness. He said, I don't forgive him. He spilt my blood in public, embarrassed me. Doesn't deserve it. I don't even want to hear his apology. And we obviously made the Gabai feel a bit even more bad. And, what can you do? You try and speak to him. He said, listen, he's right. I don't know if he's right or if he's wrong, but that's how he felt. Then the word got to the Rebbe by the last day of Chanukah, on the 8th day of Chanukah, Zot Chanukah, it got to the word of the Rebbe. And the Admor, he was the Rebbe, he said, call in the boy. I want to speak to the boy who was there, who got slapped. He called them in. It's big kavod when the Rebbe calls you in. The king calls you in. He said, come, sit down. And he was learning Chok L'Yisrael. Chok L'Yisrael, if you know, was compiled by the Arizal, Ari HaKadosh. And it's Chok. It's a study for every Jew to learn a little bit every day. It takes, maybe 20 minutes a day to learn. It's a few psukim from the Torah, a few psukim from the Navi, Ketuvim, a few Mishnayot, one parak Mishnayot, a few lines of Gemara, a few lines of Zohar, Halacha and Musar. A few lines of everything. It's not just a compilation, but it's also a pisod, the number of psukim, according to the letters of Hashem's name, according to each day of the week, according to the ashpah and the neshama of a person, according to the sefirot, everything done a pisod. It's all the Torah necessary for a person's neshama in preparation for Shabbat. Like you prepare for Shabbat, you prepare food, you prepare the house, you prepare your clothes, you take a shower. Your neshama needs to get ready. To get your neshama ready, you need to do Chok L'Yisrael. That's why even the great Talmidei Chachamim, even Rabbi Ovadia and Rabbi Netanel Dadoun, Rabbi Netanel Dadoun, who's a great Rosh Yeshiva, used to learn Chok L'Yisrael. Chaim, Ben Ishchai, everybody, Chol Am Yisrael. So this Chassid Rabbi, he took out his Chok L'Yisrael and he said, look at the Zohar of today. It was Parashat Miketz, first day of Parashat Miketz. The Zohar says the following story. And this is the connection between the Zohar and Parashat Miketz or Chok L'Yisrael. You can look it up. It has in every Chok L'Yisrael. The Zohar tells a story. Listen to the story of the Zohar. Rabbi Abba was one of the Talmidim of Rabbi Shimon. He was sitting by the city, the gate of the city of Lud. Now he sees there's a man who's sitting on the edge of a cliff. Right? And he's a blita, there's like a, how do you say blita? A cliff which is sticking out of the mountain, and he's sitting on it. And he was tired, and he sat down and he fell asleep. Now, Rabbi Abba is watching this. This is Zohar says. He's watching what happens. The man falls asleep. When he's falling asleep, a poisonous snake comes up to him. And you can see he's going to give him a bite. Yeah, it's like not just a little snake, it was a big python. He says, come, ויצא שרץ שנקרא כוסטפה דגורדנה. There was a creature which came out. I don't know what the name, which one it was. I don't know what its name is. Maybe it was a scorpion or a different creature. He killed the snake. And then he ran off. And he sees the guy wakes up and he's just been saved by a snake. And he doesn't even know that. He just wakes up and he sees a dead snake. He gets, shocked, frightened, and he just gets up and leaves. And then he sees as he walks off, he says the whole cliff he was sitting just falls down deep into the valley, just crumbles. The whole mountain just crumbles off as he just got up. נפלה הבליטה שישב עליה, אל העמק שמתחתיה כי נקרעה מן ההר. ואדם ניצל. He got saved. Now the guy sees just two miracles. The guy just got saved from death. Once by a snake, when another creature just stops there, and then he just got up, frightened by that, and saved from falling down from the cliff of the mountain. So Rabbi Abba says, listen, I got to find out this guy. He must have something special. Double miracle in one day. I never seen anything like it. He runs up to him. He says, Amalei, Mama Secha, what is it? What do you do? HaKadosh Baruch Hu ikra lecha shnei nisim elu. You didn't even know what happened. I saw these miracles. You didn't see them even. Lo hayu bechinam. They didn't come for nothing. I said, listen, what do you want from me? I'm a simple Jew. I'm not chacham. I didn't go to yeshiva. I didn't do I'm just a simple guy. I'm a Jew. I try and do a good Jew. I said, no. This is something special. I've never seen anything like it. Double miracle in one shot. Tell me what you do. I said, I don't know if it's anything special, but there's one thing I try and do. I try and do one thing. What's your thing? I said, listen, if someone does something bad to me, then straight away I try and forgive him. Ani mochel, and I make peace with him. And if I can't do it straight away, so I try and work on myself. And I say, listen, why are you upset with him? This is for the good, it's for the benefit. Hashem knows what he's doing. It's nothing to do with this person, it's nothing personal. And I really try not to take it personally. I don't go to sleep until I forgive him. And I don't bear a grudge or hatred at all. And not only that, I do another step further. In order to make sure I don't bear a grudge in my heart, I don't just say, okay, I'll forgive him, but I go, and from that day on, I try and do him favors. That means he annoys me, he's upset with me, I don't know, and I not only forgive him and I don't bear a grudge, but I call him out the next day and I said, listen, do you need any help? Do you want to maybe come for a meal, for Shabbat? Do you want to maybe go? And I try and do him good favors, do you need something? To make sure that I truly believe the emunah, that nothing personal to do with him. I don't judge him at all. Now, how is that possible to do something? That is superhuman strength. But only from emunah. Only a person who believes in emunah, Kol Min Hashaman, can do such a thing. Now, Rabbi Abba hears that. He starts crying. Bacha Rabbi Abba. Amar, גדולים מעשיו זה מיוסף הצדיק. This guy is even greater than Yosef HaTzadik. Now, how do you explain that he's greater than Yosef HaTzadik? I'll tell you how he's like Yosef HaTzadik. You tell me why is that greater. Yosef HaTzadik, he was orphaned as a child. He grew up without a mother. His brothers hated him. They chucked him in the pit. They wanted to kill him. They sold him to Mitzrayim. He was a slave. He ended up in prison. Okay. Now he becomes king. And the brothers come. And all the laugh that they laughed at his dreams and they made fun of him and they called him all nasty names and they wanted to kill him. Now his moment, opportunity. What does he do? Treats them with respect, gives them to eat, gives them clothes. How can he do that? He says, Lo atem Elokim shalchani leMitzrayim. God sent me to be king of Egypt. Only from emunah. So that is how he's like Yosef HaTzadik. This guy who forgives everybody. Like he forgives his brothers. Yosef forgive his brothers. That's why he forgives everybody. But why is he greater than Yosef HaTzadik?
Because Yosef still put his brothers in Nisayon. He still pushed them a bit before.
Yeah, so I was waiting for you to say that. That's not what the Zohar says. Yosef had his different shikulim to do that. He wanted to show how they were bemet did tshuva and the opportunity for them.
And also here we talk about his brothers. Here we talk about.
Oh, that's what the Zohar says. If it's your brother, okay, of course you forgive him because he's your brother. But if it's not your brother, it's the guy from shul who always sits in my seat. It's the neighbor who always takes my parking space. Okay, it's the guy that is always annoying. He's not my brother. He says, no, he is your brother. He's Jewish. He's like your brother. But he says, Rabbi Abba, when he was crying in the Zohar, he says, this guy is Gadol Yosef. Ki Yosef, Aser, Ra'ah, Hayu Echav. They were his brothers. Of course, he was supposed to forgive them because of his brothers. What should I do? This guy, Asa Kenim Kol Bnei Adam, with everybody. Haya Gadol Yosef. V'roya HaKadosh Baruch Hu shikre Nes al Nes. That's why he deserves a miracle. Ashreim, Anashim Orchim B'derech HaEmet. They go with the way of the truth. Orchim Betach Ba'olam. They're not scared of anything. Lo Ba'olam Hazeh Lo Ba'olam Haba. So the Rebbe tells us to the boy, and he said, "You understand the message of the Zohar? You understand what it means to be forgiving, to be greater than Yosef HaTzadik?"
Rabbi Dadoun, what's beautiful with Yosef HaTzadik is that on one hand he forgave and did not bear a grudge against his brothers, but on the other hand, correct me if I'm wrong, but he didn't expose himself to be victimized by his brothers again.
What do you mean to expose himself? Yeah.
I mean, he did not. He cut off relationship with them. I mean, his brothers had to approach him, but he didn't. He didn't bring
tell them
himself
I'm Yosef, and he made them. He treated them like royalty. When they came down to Mitzrayim, he gave them everything.
Yeah,
and he never even told his father. His father, He never told him. He never told his father, where were you for so many years? You just disappeared on me. Where did you go? He didn't tell his father, yeah, it was Yuda. He threw me in the pit. Yeah. He didn't say anything. That was the greatness of Yosef HaTzadik. He appreciated it. He knew that his dreams came true. He said, Baruch Hashem, my dreams came true. How did you get it? He didn't say it. So, what was the story with the boy on Chanukah? The Rebbe said this to him on the last day of Chanukah. He said, you understand the message? He said, yeah. Now look at this young boy. The Rebbe told him what to do. He straight away took the Zohar. He said, I'm going to do action. He went to the shop. Went to buy some, this is the story. He bought some, what is it? Cognac, brandy. He bought some brandy. 777, I think that's what it's called, it's something like that. Name of a drink. And he went to the bakery, bought some nice cakes, and went up to the stairs of the Gabai, knocks on his door. And the guy looks from the cooker, you can see in the door. It's the boy. What does he want now? It's going to be a long evening now. He opens the door. He says, no, I want to make shalom. I want to appease the Abu al-Chaim. Let's drink together. I went to the Rebbe, Baruch Hashem, Akol min hashamayim. I deserve that slap. I don't know why I got it. Sorry for taking me so long, but let's make friends. We'll do al-Chaim for making shalom. Okay, let's have a drink. They had the al-Chaim, they had the cake, and they had their fine. And he was happy. They're both happy. You go to sleep much better. If you ever did shalom, you know how good it feels. To go to bed feeling, I'm never going to forgive him. He did so bad to me. How could he dare me? I'm going to wait for him. Don't worry. I'm going to remember this day when I can get back and get my Now you feel rubbish when you get to sleep like that. But if you go to sleep thinking, yeah, Kodoshim that was for the good. I'm going to enjoy it. And I made peace. And how good do I feel? And especially if it's someone close. If it's a family, if it's your brother, if it's your wife, you feel good, yeah. Shalom is the best. I'm going to forgive everything. And the fact that when you go to sleep, you think part of this nusach of Shema Yisrael is I forgive everyone who did bad to me. I don't want anybody to be punished on my behalf. That can only be done with emunah. So he did that. He felt good. He had that good feeling, and he went back to his yeshiva. Now that night, I don't know why he was on a high. He couldn't fall asleep. All his friends, roommates were asleep. Okay, what should I do? I learned something. I get a sefer, open up Gemara. Now he has a bedside lamp. Tried to put it on, it didn't work. So he has his friend. He said, I'm going to use his one. It also didn't work. He took the shamash from the menorah. It was the last day of Chanukah. He took it next to his bed, lit the candle, and he started learning Gemara. I tried to fall asleep. And Gemara is a big school to fall asleep. Yeah, study Gemara, open a Gemara. He fell asleep in a few minutes. On his Gemara, with the candle next to his bed. His candle was on a wooden chair. When he fell asleep, the Gemara slipped out of his hands, knocked down the candle. Once the chair was lit, fire spreads already in 1 minute. Already in 1 minute, the whole chair was on fire. The whole bed, mattress, duvet was scorched with fire. His tzitzit was scorched. And already the whole room was already filled up with fire within a minute. And he woke up in a panic. And he saw it was all black, everything was smoke. He just ran out. We had the netilat yadayim, he pulled over, just ran out of the room. And he ran to the Rebbe. And he said, Rebbe, he told me the Zohar, and I went to do shalom with the Gabai. He said, yeah, okay, Baruch Hashem. He said, no, you don't understand that I got saved. Happened to me in Nes. The guy said, I never went to sleep on my bed before I forgive him. And that's what I did, and I was saved from my bed. God saved me. Everyone said Agomel. They made bracha for Agomel for saving me. And this is a lesson. We always think, I need a miracle. Yeah, how often do we say it to ourselves? Oh no, look at the situation, I need the miracle. And then Hashem sends us a gift. And all we have to do is just forgive somebody. You know, what did they did wrong? How often do we get upset with people? Happens all the time. And when it's really bad, that's the greatest opportunity to just think about emunah, think about what it's min hashamayim, and just to forgive. And when we forgive, then we become like Yosef HaTzadik. We're even greater than Yosef HaTzadik, and that's what gives us the ability to have miracles. And these miracles, that's the Hashem's opportunity of saying, giving us a way to get the miracles, of deserving the miracles. You know, a person can't just demand a miracle to change nature. That's a miracle. But if we change our nature and we find that within ourselves we can forgive, then maybe Hashem will change nature for us. And that's the message of the Torah telling us, Lo tikum v'lo titor. Have emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And once we have that, then everything is very easy. So that's the message from today, from this week's parasha of Kodoshim. So we learn a lot of lessons. We learn about struggling with our desires, overcoming our yetzer hara. And just remember, each time we have a hero of teshuvah, that can save us from a yetzer hara. I saw in the sefer from the father of the Chida, I think it was Rabbi Avraham Azulai, in the sefer Chesed LeAvraham. He said that Esav, the shoresh hara, is the number 400, tough. He came with 400 men. He said 400 days of retzifut, of tum'ah, that makes a person mushash in his avera. That means if a person does one avera constantly for 400 days, without thinking any feelings of guilt or regret, then it becomes part of him and becomes habit. When he says the opposite way, if he has thoughts of doing teshuvah, just a thought, for 400 days, he said he will be able to be strengthened against the yetzer hara, against the kochot. And each thought, that is what Hashem wants. That is what Rav Steinemann was jealous of, the Rosh Hashiva. That what made the boy come back and leave his Goya and come back to Judaism. Just that encouragement. Let's remember the Orach Chaim HaKadosh. Thinking about the image of our father or our mother, of our parents, saved us against the yetzer hara, not to disgrace them. Remember, Ayin Ro'ah be'ozin shamat. B'kol ma'asecha b'sefer nechtamim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees everything amongst us. Let's remember, Lo tikom v'lo titor. Have emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and everything that happens is for the best, and Hashem sends us. And this is an opportunity to get miracles. Let's remember the Zohar, the man that was saved continuously, miracle after miracle, after just forgiving his friend and being his friend, and making peace and making shalom with the person that did wrong to him. And Hashem, we have to fulfill the mitzvot about Kodoshim to you, v'lo tikom v'lo titor, ki ani Hashem. Just remember, ani Hashem. That's what the pasuk says. The pasuk says, let me get this right, lo tikom v'lo titor. Et bnei amecha v'ahavta l'orecha kamocha ani Hashem. If you remember ani Hashem, then you can love your friend as yourself. That's the message. I hope you enjoyed the shiur tonight. Thank you for joining me. And thank you for listening. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom. And Hashem, look forward to next week. Just before I end off, next week, Thursday night, is a special day because
Yudalet.
What's Yudalet?
Pesach Sheni.
Next week, Lag BaOmer.
You people.
No, it's not Yudalet. Sorry. No,
Next week,
Yudalet
Thursday is Lag BaOmer.
No, sorry.
Lag BaOmer. So Lag BaOmer
is Monday. Sorry.
Lag BaOmer, Be'ezrat Hashem, if I have the ability, I want to travel Be'ezrat Hashem to Har Meron, to Tefillah. So, would you like to have a shiur next week on Wednesday? Instead of
on
Thursday?
Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesday night, preparation for Lag BaOmer, for Rashbi, and for Shabbat.
I'm easy.
Yeah.
Okay, can we schedule the end, Gilad?
Yeah, Bezrat Hashem, yeah.
Okay. Is that good for you, Meir?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem. So next week, as a one-off, we'll do preparation for Lag BaOmer, and then after that, we'll do Be'ezrat Hashem Chodesh Shavuot. I thank you all very much. Wish you all
Thank
Shabbat
you.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hashem,
Shabbat